warm welcome to your NCFE Level 2 Certificate in Principles of Customer Service, Session 2 of 4 for Poplar Harker. This session covers Understand Customers and Understand Employer Organisations. My name is Phil Church and I'll be your narrator and guide for this session. This NCFE Level 2 Online Certificate in Principles of Customer Service and Delivery is brought to you by Poplar Harker and Solucious Equinox for online learning. Visit and subscribe our online YouTube channel at Solucious Equinox. The units being covered in this session are Understand Customers and Understand Employer Organisations. Your learning journey so far. The previous session covered principles of customer service and delivery. And as stated, this session covers Understand Customers and Understand Employer Organisations, followed by your tutor support sessions. Once you've completed this session, you should be able to complete your online assessment 1, which will be assessed. Session 3 will cover Understand how to communicate with customers and Understand how to develop customer relationships. Once that's complete, you'll have your tutor support sessions, followed by Session 4. Understand how to resolve problems and deliver customer service to challenging customers, and understand how to develop working relationships with colleagues. Once Session 4 is complete, you will be able to have your online session for Assessment 2. And you'll be able to complete that and submit that for us to assess. Full tutor support will be throughout the entire programme. Once your assignments have been sent off for quality assurance checks, you'll be awarded with your qualification. Completing your assignments. It is important to understand the action verbs in the assignment questions. And these action verbs are define, where you must give a precise meaning of the word. Describe. In order to describe something, you must give a detailed account of it. Explain. You need to ensure that your answer is clear, revealing relevant facts. Identify. Point out and explain. Don't just make a list, you need to explain as well. Your answer should establish who or what something is. We will tutor you throughout the programme and help you to complete the 2 assignments. Once you submit your assignments online, they will be assessed. All your completed assignments will then be submitted for internal and external quality assurance. And once this process is complete, you'll be awarded your qualification. Our remote assistance service, where we can be contacted at, are learners@soluciousequinox.com, where your emails must be marked with NCFE Customer Service to avoid them becoming lost in amongst other emails. Our contact telephone numbers are on there if you wish to speak to us personally. When working through the assessments, please base your answers on any of the following: a customer service role you have in your current job, a customer service role in a previous job, an organisation that is familiar to you, an organisation that you have researched. In this section, we will look at understand different types of customers. And by the end of this section, you'll be able to explain the distinctions between internal and external customers. Explain how cultural factors can affect customers' expectations. Describe the characteristics of challenging customers. Explain how to identify dissatisfied customers. And describe common techniques for dealing with dissatisfied customers. What are the different types of customer? Well, customers are internal and external. Your internal customers are the staff members who come to your department for services. Your external customers may be suppliers to your department or actual customers. Did you know that some large companies put their internal service requirements out to tender, and that internal company departments compete with external ones? DHL have been contracted by Jaguar Land Rover to deliver parts to the factory, and they also operate the internal logistics system. DHL ensure that car parts are brought to the individual factory workers building the cars inside the factory, and it's known as just-in-time delivery. Differences between the two types include their level of knowledge and understanding of the organisation's systems and procedures, their expectations of the products and services, styles of communication. Your assignment question is asking you, for question 34, to explain the differences between internal and external customers. So internal customers are within the organisation itself. The shop fitting department of a large supermarket chain call the store managers their customers. The printing team in a company may consider the marketing team as their customer because of preparing brochures, leaflets and so forth for them. A manager employed by a charity to look after the welfare of volunteers may think of the volunteers as their customers, as their job is to provide backup and resources to the voluntary workers. External customers are outside people or organisations that buy and or use the products and services, for example, clients, walk-in customers and passing trade, internet-based customers, telephone customers, and the differences include their level of knowledge and understanding of the organisation's systems and procedures and their expectations of the products and services and their styles of communication. Further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for research. Cultural factors which can affect customers' expectations and which should be considered include language, for example, English not being the first language, different traditions about tone of voice, cultural traditions about the formality of language, communication styles, etc. Nationality, for example, established traditions that reflect national culture. Age, for example, cultural traditions about how people of different ages treat each other. Religion and beliefs, for example, affecting food and drinks choices, different holy days, religious festivals, fasting periods. Social attitudes and behaviours, for example, the formality and type of greetings. Body language, for example, personal space, touching and gestures, and showing feet. Values, for example, ethics and perception of right and wrong, lifestyle, attitudes, environmental and animal welfare issues. Your assignment question is asking you for question 35 to explain how cultural factors can affect customers' expectations and give 3 examples. So language, nationality, religion and beliefs, body language, values, but explain about them as well. Tell us a bit about these cultural factors that can affect customers' expectations. Further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for research. Some customers can be challenging to deal with. Here are some of the characteristics you may encounter. Customers can become upset or angry for a variety of reasons. They may have a complaint about a product or service. Some may become violent, emotional, and/or disruptive due to drug or alcohol use. There are many underlying reasons why a customer may feel or behave like this. Relationship breakups, unemployment, relative in hospital, receive bad news, for example. Pause the video and think about some examples and how you would deal with such a situation and how you would de-escalate the situation. Your assignment question is asking you for question 36 to describe characteristics of challenging customers. Think about how you would handle and deal with such scenarios. Further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for research. Identifying dissatisfied customers. This may be apparent through their direct complaints, for example on emails, letters, telephone, or face-to-face. Their indirect complaints, for example leaving poor reviews on social media or surveys. Body language, for example crossed arms, angry expressions or aggressive hand movements. Their tone of voice, for example using a raised voice or shouting. Techniques for dealing with dissatisfied customers. When dealing with dissatisfied customers, staff members need to follow their organisation's complaints procedures. The staff member may, for example, listen to or read the details of the complaint, maybe making notes about the details. Apologise to the customer and show that they understand and sympathise with the customer. Explain the background to the problem or issue, or offer to investigate if the cause of the problem is not obvious. Take action and follow it up. Keep the customer informed at all stages of the process, even if it takes many weeks to resolve the problem. Apologise again. Reassure and thank the customer for their patience and custom. Your assignment question is asking you for question 37A to explain how to identify dissatisfied customers. And 37B is asking you to give 3 examples of why customers might be dissatisfied with your organisation or industry. And question 38 is asking you to describe common techniques for dealing with dissatisfied customers. And further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for research. In this section, we will look at understand the value of customers and their loyalty. And by the end of this section, you'll be able to explain the achievement of the customer service offer contributes to enhancing customer loyalty. Explain the relationship between customer satisfaction and organisational performance. Explain how the reputation and image of an organisation affect customers' perceptions of its products and/or services. Explain the potential consequences of customer dissatisfaction. And describe the different methods of attracting customers and retaining their loyalty. Successful delivery will enhance customer loyalty to an organisation. When an organisation achieves its service offer, it develops a relationship with the customer that builds confidence in the organisation, trust in the service offer, commitment to the organisation. And there is a chart that shows how the organisation achieves its service offer and meets expectations, leading to loyalty, recommendations, sales, then further development, and back to achieving the offer. The relationship between customer satisfaction and organisational performance. This is a two-way, interdependent process. One relies on the other and requires delivery being on time, staff going the extra mile when delivering customer service, having problems and queries dealt with effectively, knowing opinions and feedback matter. The organisation benefits from repeat business from the customer, increased customer spend. For example, a customer who starts by buying one new product might be so impressed that they try 3 or 4 new products next time. Customer loyalty, for example, always buying the same brand. Recommendations from the customer telling friends and family about new products. Performance targets being met or exceeded, for example, sales, profits, new contracts or service level agreements. Even if the organisation enjoys success and benefits as a result of good rates of customer satisfaction, it needs to continue to deliver excellence to maintain and improve its position to survive and thrive. Your assignment question is asking you, for question 39, organisations work to deliver the customer service offer they have promised. Explain how successful delivery enhances customer loyalty. And question 40, explain the relationship between customer satisfaction and organisational performance. So when an organisation achieves its service offer, it develops a relationship with the customer that builds confidence in the organisation, trust in the service offer, and commitment to the organisation. And receiving good quality goods and services, delivery being on time, staff going the extra mile, and having problems and queries dealt with effectively, and knowing that their opinions and feedback matter, and the organisations benefit from repeat business from the customer, increased customer spend, customer loyalty, and recommendations, and product targets being met or exceeded, sales profits, new contracts. Even if the organisation enjoys success and benefits as a result of good rates of customer satisfaction, it needs to continue to deliver excellence to maintain and improve its position, to survive and thrive. And you have a chart that shows the cycle of this. Further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for further research. Potential consequences of customer dissatisfaction. Suffer from bad publicity and lose a good reputation. Lose current and potential customers to competitors in the short or long term. Have orders cancelled or reduced. Suffer a drop in revenue and profits. Receive more complaints. Lose staff from redundancies or resignations. And having a demotivated workforce. Reputation and image, and how it affects customers' perceptions of an organisation's products and services. The standard of products and services produced, the standard of its customer service delivery, being a market leader in its industry, its size, its business structure, its ethics, its reputation as an employer, legal compliance, and publicity. Customers that have a positive perception of the organisation are far more likely to have a positive impression of the goods and services. They will feel positive about associating themselves with the brand. However, customers who have a negative perception of the organisation are very likely to have a negative view on the products and services. If they feel that they cannot trust the organisation, they will feel that they might not be able to trust the quality and reliability of the service offer. So they now may refuse to buy a product or only spend a small amount to see how it goes. Your assignment question is asking you for question 41 to explain the potential consequences of customer dissatisfaction. Give 3 examples. And question 42. Explain how the reputation and image of an organisation affects customer perceptions of its products and/or services. And further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for further research. Methods for attracting customers and retaining their loyalty. Attracting previous, current and potential customers. Advertising campaigns. Promotional offers. Promotional events. Sponsorship. Offering unique selling points. Marketing and publicity campaigns. Social media and internet activity. Incentive schemes. Developing websites. Developing relationships with compatible organisations. Contacting previous customers. How to retain customer loyalty. Consistently providing excellent products and services. Providing excellent customer service. Loyalty schemes. Dealing with feedback, problems and complaints quickly and effectively. Reacting to any adverse publicity or feedback quickly and in a professional manner. Remaining competitive. Constantly reviewing trends and customers' expectations. Developing new or improved products or services. Staying on touch with customers. Your assignment question is asking you for question 43 to describe different methods of attracting customers and retaining their loyalty. Give 3 examples. So attracting customers for previous, current and potential, advertising campaigns, promotional offers, promotional events, social media and internet activity. For retaining loyalty, consistently providing excellent customer service products, loyalty schemes, dealing with feedback, problems and complaints quickly and effectively, remaining competitive, constantly reviewing trends and customers' expectations, and staying on touch with customers. Further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for further research. This section we will cover understand organisational structures, and by the end of this section you will be able to explain the differences between private sector, public and voluntary sector, explain the functions of different organisational structures, and describe the features of different types of legal structures for organisations. What are the differences between public sector, private sector and third sector? Private sector. Private sector companies have been set up to make profit for their owners, whether they are small sole traders or large corporations with multiple shareholders. Public sector. Public sector organisations tend to provide services to the general public and do not tend to make profits. However, there are some exceptions to this in the form of government-owned companies such as Network Rail. Voluntary sector. The voluntary sector, which is often referred to as the third sector, comprises of social enterprises, charities and community groups. These organisations reinvest their earnings and do not make profits, as they are termed not for profit. Your assignment question is asking you, for question 44, to explain the differences between the private sector, the public sector, and the voluntary sector or third sector. And further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for further research. What are the functions of different organisational structures? Hierarchical. Government and public sector tend to use a hierarchical structure where the authority roles are at the top with less authority down low. Take the police, for example. At the bottom tier, you have police constables and PCSOs, police community support officers. Then you have a rank structure, sergeant, inspector, chief inspector, and so forth, right away to the top where you have a chief constable or commissioner for police. It's an organised structure and it's easy to understand, and one person with overall responsibility. Heads of departments are tend to be run by a police rank. But it can resolve in communication issues, because to get something done and it's being raised by a lower tier, it has to go all the way to the top before it always comes back down again. And sometimes if you are trickling information from the top down, it can take a long time to get to the ground floor. And sometimes that information can become skewed and misread. Horizontal. It has few tiers. It's easier communication and it's ideal for small and medium-sized businesses where the staff take responsibility and the staff make decisions. So the managerial structure is spread across multiple departments rather than hierarchical where it's a bottom to top. Functional focuses on skills, ideal for one product companies. And divisional, where the company is broken into smaller units, which is useful for large organisations, and a good example there are Siemens. Siemens have Siemens Energy, Siemens Trains, and they even make products such as coffee machines. Pause the video and research matrix and line and staff structures. Your assignment question is asking you, for question 45, to explain the functions of different organisational structures. So you have hierarchical, horizontal, functional, and divisional. Further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for research. What are the features of different types of legal structures within business organisations? Well, first of all, you have a sole trader. They are an individual owner of their business. They can employ staff. They can register for VAT. They carry out their self-assessment tax returns. They pay income tax, national insurance, and they have full control of decisions. It is a low wage cost, because mostly it is them that are running it in the business. And a low capital investment. It's easy to set up, and they have personal financial responsibility over the business. Limited company. It's a separate legal entity to the owners, and it's divided into shares. You have private limited company, such as Solucious Equinox, and a public limited company, such as a bank. It's less personal tax for the owners, there's no personal legal liabilities, and it carries a professional image of one that you can trust. It is a complicated setup process, however, and you must pay an accountant to carry out your tax duties and to ensure all your fees are being paid. Group decisions are made amongst the shareholders. Business partnership consists of 2 or more people, and it's a profit sharing scheme with shared responsibility, ideal for those with different skill sets, and a shared workload. Examples of businesses which fall into the various categories. So for sole trader, your painters, decorators, landscape gardeners, electricians, plumbers. Limited company, Stagecoach, Solucious, Equinox, Sky, Virgin, British Petroleum. For partnerships, law firms, and limited liability partnerships, see they're Virgin, Stagecoach, who jointly own together Virgin Trains. Your assignment question is asking you for question 46 to describe the features of the legal structure of organisations that are sole traders, partnerships, public listed companies and limited companies. Examples from headings include sole trader, a business owned and run by a sole trader, sometimes referred to as a proprietor or freelancer. The sole trader has full responsibility for the business, their tax, their national insurance, the payroll, the welfare, the health, the safety. Partnerships are formed when two or more people join their business activities and assets and liabilities together, and they are jointly and severely liable for debts and liabilities. Public limited companies, PLCs, when a company is large and well established, it can be floated on the stock exchange and its shares can be offered to the general public. And there are very strict rules that need to be followed before a company can be floated and become a PLC. The structure is similar to a limited company and that there are directors who are responsible for the running of the company and the shareholders who own it. And further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for further research. In this section, we will look at understand the organisational environment. And by the end of this section, you'll be able to describe the internal and external influences on organisations. Explain the use of different models of analysis in understanding the organisational environment. And explain why change in the business environment is important. Internal and external influences on business. The red is the internal influences. And these internal influences consist of things such as policies, procedures, the planning and strategy of a business, how the business manages its staff and recruitment of staff, the way the business communicates, its reputation amongst the staff and other businesses and the sector that it operates in, its corporate image and its brand promise. The blue represents the external influences on business, and the influences on the business from an external point of view are those such as the costs of raw material. If you work with woods, metals, and these raw materials, if the price increases, you need to adjust your prices accordingly to ensure you still make a profit. Labour costs. If minimum wage increases, you need to adjust your wages accordingly. Changes in technology. If you work in an IT sector or you use computers and other technology and equipment to ensure you build a product or you are online, you need to ensure that your technology is up to date to ensure that you have the latest equipment and design. Because if you don't, your competitors will. And your competitors are an external influence, because if they do something, you should look at what your competitors are doing and, if necessary, reflect it. And if changes in technology, if your competitors are buying brand new equipment to keep up to date with the latest equipment and technology, you need to do the same. new legislation such as updates to the Health and Safety at Work Act, the changing expectations of customers, and the changing standards and regulations. Your assignment question is asking you for question 47 to describe the internal and external influences on organisations and give 3 examples of each. So for internal, policies and procedures, planning and strategy, communication, reputation, image. External, world prices of raw materials, labour costs, changes in technology, what your competitor is doing, the new legislation, regulations or standards. You need to choose 3 of each. And further reading can be found on your qualification handbook or use the internet for further research. PESTEL analysis for business planning. Businesses need to take a number of factors into account when planning for the environment in which they operate, and the PESTEL model helps to assess this environment by looking at 5 factors specifically. So for political, these are all about how and to what degree a government intervenes in the economy. This can include government policy, political stability or instability in overseas markets, foreign trade policy, tax policy, labour law, environmental law, trade restrictions, and so on. It's clear from above that the political factors often have an impact on organisations and how they do business. Organisations need to be able to respond to the current and anticipated future legislation and adjust their marketing policy accordingly. Economic factors have a significant impact on how an organisation does business and how profitable they are. Factors include economic growth, interest rates, exchange rates, inflation, disposable income of consumers, and business factors, and so on. These factors can be further broken down into a macroeconomical and microeconomical factors. Macroeconomical factors deal with the management of demand in any given economy. Governments use interest rate control, taxation policy, and government expenditure as their main mechanisms for their use for this. Microeconomic factors are all about the way people spend their incomes. This has a large impact on business to customer organisations in particular. Social, also known as socio-cultural factors, are the areas that involve the shared belief and attitudes of the population. And these factors include population growth, age distribution, health consciousness, career attitudes, and so on. These factors are of a particular interest as they have a direct effect on how marketeers understand customers and what drives them. Technology. Technological factors, and we all know how fast the technological landscape changes and how this impacts the way we market products. Technological factors affect business and marketing and the management thereof in 3 distinct ways. New ways of producing goods and services, new ways of distributing goods and services, and new ways of communicating with target markets. Environmental. These factors have only really come to the forefront within the last 15 years or so. They've become important due to the increasing scarcity of raw materials, pollution targets, and doing business as an ethical and sustainable company, carbon footprint targets set by governments. And this is a good example where one factor could be classed as political and environmental at the same time. These are just some of the issues that businesses are facing within this factor. More and more consumers are demanding that the products that they buy are sourced ethically and, if possible, from a sustainable source. And finally, legal. Legal factors include health and safety, equal opportunities, advertising standards, consumer rights and laws, product labeling, product safety. It's clear that companies need to know what is and what is not legal in order to trade successfully. If an organisation trades globally, this becomes a very tricky area to get right, and each country has its own set of rules and regulations. After you've completed a PESTEL analysis, you should be able to use this to help you identify the strengths and weaknesses for a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. And scenario planning for business planning. Organisational strategy. What is the organisational strategy? It may be to grow the business by entering different markets or sectors. Environmental analysis. What does the environmental analysis tell you regarding the marketplace that you intend to enter? And forecasting. Taking the organisational strategy and environmental analysis into account, what can be forecasted? And the scenario planning, taking all these factors into account. Plan for as many scenarios as possible. Plan for sudden changes. And this SWOT and PESTEL analysis are integral tools in this process. Your assignment question is asking you, for question 48, to explain the use of SWOT and PESTEL models of analysis and understanding the organisational environment. Organisations need to measure and analyse possible impacts on their operations and ability to deliver excellent products, services and customer service. This helps them to review their performance and strategies in detail and consider a wide variety of internal and external influences. Detailed description examples of SWOT, such as strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and PESTEL, political, economic, social, technological and legal, environmental. And further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for further research. Organisational change and its benefits. It is beneficial for organisations to change and reflect the realities of the marketplace in which they operate. Many companies that you may know had their origins in very different sectors to the ones they now operate in. Babcock and Wilcox were originally boilermakers. They then became shipbuilders, and they have now diversified into just being a service company and are one of the largest in the world. They maintain aircraft and submarines, and they even train police and firefighters through their training divisions. Group 4 started off as a security company and merged with Securicor to become another service company with interests in security, training and service provision across the world. Porsche started as a tractor builder and diversified into sports cars. Ironically, Porsche are now one of the biggest SUV builders, as that side of the business is bigger than sports cars, showing that they have embraced further change. British Aerospace was purely an aircraft manufacturer, and although through mergers and purchases they now build submarines, ships, planes, tanks, small arms, missiles, etc. Stella Artois. Stella took over other companies around the world to become InBev, and they now run pubs, hotels, and make spirits, wines, and of course beer all around the world. Companies change for all sorts of reasons, and those who fail to adapt don't survive. Change may be required for a number of reasons, and some of these include to outperform their competitors by changing processes, change to take advantage of opportunities, keep up with technology changes, change to keep up with demand, expand, take over other companies, to improve procedures, cost savings to increase profits, reduce staffing levels, gain greater flexibility, and develop new skills for workforce. Solucious Equinox, Sets Limited. Due to the coronavirus, we adapted to online learning. And therefore, this course was due to be delivered in the classrooms and has now been designed to be delivered to you online, remotely. So that's the ability to adapt. Your assignment question is asking you, for question 49, to explain why change in the business environment is important. And further reading can be found in your qualification handbook or use the internet for research. This concludes the second of the 4 sessions relating to your qualification. In your next presentation, we will be covering the following topics. Understand how to communicate with customers. Understand how to develop customer relationships. You will have been sent by email a time, date and a meeting link for you to log on for the teaching session which accompanies this presentation. To get the most from your learning journey, please ensure you log on to this online session with your trainer. We hope you found this presentation useful, and we encourage you to use the unit handbooks which are accessible in PDF format in your e-portfolio to support your studies. Any questions? Our remote support service can be found at learners@soluciousequinox.com. And as explained before, your emails must be marked with NCFE Customer Service. Thank you for listening. As always, we welcome your feedback. And this can be either sent to us at learners@soluciousequinox.com, or why not leave us a comment on our videos at our YouTube channel.